Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to what will hopefully be the first in a line of TBR videos. Okay, I know, I've said probably around this time last year that I was going to be doing TBR videos. Last year it was a TBR jar. This year we're trying something a little bit different. It's gonna be a mentality change for me. Every single time I have done TBRs in the past, it is like a switch flips in my head and it just automatically makes me not want to read any of those books because I feel like then I am locked into them and my mood reader self just goes, nope, we're not doing that anymore. So honestly, this time I'm trying to approach TBRs as, instead of me telling you these are the books that I will be reading next month, I am instead approaching it as these are the books that I would like to read over the next month. If I get to them, then I get to them, and that's fantastic. If I don't, then that's okay. It's more of a guideline for me to, if I am in the middle of mood reading something and I don't know what I want to read next, it's a list of books that I can prioritize and be like, hey, I wanted to read those, why don't I pick up one of them instead? So we'll see how this works, I guess. I'm not trying to, I say this in so many of my videos, but like honestly, being on BookTube, there's a lot of pressure on you to read a ton of books and to stick to a TBR and to do all of these things, and those things don't make me more productive. They have the opposite effect. It's like the if you tell me what to do, I'm not going to do it mentality. So we're gonna try it this way. That all being said, I have selected 5 books that I would like to prioritize throughout the month of February, and if I get to them, that is fantastic. I'm very happy for future me. If I don't get to them, then that is okay. Maybe I'll try and get to them the next month instead. So the very first book that I picked out that I would like to get to in February, the month of love, is The Bromance Book Club by Alyssa K. Adams. This book has been around for a few years now. Everybody loves it that has read it, as far as I know. I have this, and I'm pretty sure I actually got the ebook of this before my friend Z over at You Can't Catch Z sent me this for my birthday last year. So I have 2 copies of it. One ebook form, one physical form. I have literally no excuse for the fact that I haven't read it yet, other than for some reason, it's really difficult for me to prioritize reading romance unless I am slumping and slumping hard. So we're doing it this time. We're prioritizing the Bromance Book Club because all of these covers are absolutely adorable. I hear that the storyline is great. I hear that the smut is pretty good, so we're doing it. The Bromance Book Club is about a baseball player for, I guess, Nashville's baseball team, which I don't think exists, but fictionally, Nashville's baseball team. He's a player on it. He is married, but apparently not super happily because apparently his entire marriage, his wife has been faking it. Not the marriage, but like their sex life. She's been faking the big O. And this kind of destroys him a little bit emotionally. His self-confidence is way down, and I believe he joins a book club in order to bring romance back into his marriage. A book club in which they read romance novels. I think that's the important part. In order to bring romance back into his marriage, and I assume, because it's a romance novel, he and his wife fall happily back into lust with each other or whatever. It sounds really great. I can't wait to read it. That is book 1 on my TBR. There is another book that has a very strong thread of romance in it that I would like to read in February, and that is Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahiran. It's time. I first read Serpent and Dove in 2020, so it has been well over a year. Actually, it's been well over a year and a half. I'm pretty sure I read Serpent and Dove in like May of 2020. It was very early. No, it was earlier than that because I'm pretty sure I read it before I started BookTube. So it was early January or February. Probably been about 2 years since I read Serpent and Dove. I was waiting for books 2 and 3 to come out. I heard book 2 had a cliffhanger, and I did not want to be in the same situation that I was in with the Aurora cycle. If you know, you know. So I waited until book 3 came out in order to pick up book 2, and here we are. Book 3 came out in like July of 2021, and I still haven't picked this up. Again, absolutely no excuse for it because I do have the audiobook of this on Scribd, so like I have access to it whenever I want it. I just haven't done it, so it's time. If you don't know what Serpent and Dove is, it is an enemies to lovers romance in a fantasy France-inspired world. You follow Lou, who is a witch, and you follow Reed, who is a witch hunter, and through circumstances, they find themselves forced into a marriage with each other. He doesn't know what she is, but she is very, very aware of what he is, and those stakes now mean that she has to hide her identity from her husband, who she is slowly falling in love with. He is also falling in love with her, and he eventually does learn what she is and needs to reconcile his beliefs with his love for his wife. Serpent and Dove was so good, guys. I blew through that entire book in a day. It's like 600 pages. It was fantastic. That book was so great. I know not a lot of people share that opinion, but listen, I have the same love in my heart for this book. Well, not this book. I haven't read this book, but for the first book in this series as I do for the ACOTAR series. It's a fun time. I don't try and put too much into it, and it is definitely rewarding. At least the first one was, so I'm hoping the second and third ones will be the same. So Blood and Honey is the second book on the TBR. Next up, I have Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker. I have decided to prioritize this over the Bone Ships because I have heard that the writing in this, a lot of people tend to like more than his other series, and I want to go into this author's backlist with a book that I am more likely to like. Also, I hear that there's an animal companion in this, and I'm all about that. I would like to also love the Bone Ships. I don't remember the Tidechild trilogy. I would like to also move on to the Tidechild trilogy because they're one of John's favorite series that has come out in recent memory. He can't stop talking about them. He loves the Bone Ships and the Call of the Bone Ships, so I do want to read those as well. But in terms of people talking about the accessibility of the novels, this one gets all of the votes. So I think I'm going to start here. I don't know anything about this other than that you follow an assassin who I believe is disabled, who is an apprentice to an assassin, in a very Assassin's Apprentice-like way. I think that there's an animal companion. That is the extent of my knowledge about this entire series. The Wounded Kingdom trilogy, I believe, is what it's called, so that is on the TBR as well. The last fantasy book that I have on this list is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I hear so many people raving about this, and I want to jump on the bandwagon while it's still going to be cold and wintry outside. I hear that it gives you the perfect, Arctic winter vibes. You feel cold while you're reading it. That is what everybody has said. So this is definitely a priority for me while we are still in the winter months. They don't last very long here in Kentucky, so I'm trying to rush this in February while it might still be a little bit cold outside. It's pretty short, 320 something pages, so it should be a fairly quick read. I hear so many people talk about this as though it's their favorite series, and I don't know anything about what this book is about. There's Russian folklore, it's Russian fairy tales. I think that is all that I know about this, and I am okay going into it completely blind because sometimes that's just what you need. The last book that I have on this list partially is there to go a little bit easy on me for my very first TBR of the year, and also is partially there because I got it last month and I really, really wanted to read it and I literally just never got around to it. That is Deadly Class. I believe the author's name is Reagan Youth. There was a TV show of this. I think it only got one season, but it does have the main girl from To All the Boys I Loved Before in it, and I adore her, so I watched the first few episodes of this season and it really intrigued me, but me being me, I tend to like to read the source material before I watch the adaptation, so I stopped, and then I never got around to the graphic novel that it originated from, and then the first season got canceled, so it kind of just sank lower and lower on my priority list. I don't think it was that bad. I don't know why it got canceled. I liked the casting, I liked the acting, I liked the story, everything seemed really, really cool, but I mean, it was enough to make me want to read this, so, you know. It is what it is, though. Apparently, I just get to read the graphic novel series instead. I will want to watch the TV show still. I think it's all still on Hulu. As far as I know, as far as I can tell, this graphic novel series is about a boy who is homeless. He's living on the streets. He's a teenager, and I believe he gets recruited to join a high school that is training assassins. That is apparently a light theme for my February, romance and assassins. So that's all I know. It takes place in the 80s, which is a fun decade to base things in. So I really liked the music choices that they made in the TV show. I really liked the outfit choices that they made. It made the whole thing seem a lot more fun. And I think that the graphic novel will be good. I think that I've heard good things about it, so I don't 100% know for sure, but I guess we'll find out. Alright, so there we have my very first TBR of 2022. Hopefully I stick with it this time. Like I said, I'm not really giving myself any pressure. I did pull all 5 of these off of my TBR shelf, So I'm trying to make sure that I get my own TBR read a little bit. This is one way for me to do that. Also, I will be having an unhaul project that I'm doing this entire year, so, that's going to help me try and get down my own TBR and maybe unhaul some books in the process. As per usual, all of the books that I talked about are going to be linked in the description box down below. If you go down there, you're also going to find a rep code for Unplugged Book Box for 5% off of your monthly subscriptions if you type in CAT5. That's going to be right next to my Book of the Month affiliate link, and under that you're going to see links to my Goodreads, my Twitter, and my Instagram in case you wanted to follow me on any of those. But other than that, don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. And that is it for me today, guys, so I will talk to you in my next one. Bye!